No, dude, the building's collapsed.
I woke up because I was hearing some noise. I couldn't understand what was happening. I looked outside, the patio area, the pool area.
A peaceful night in Surfside, Florida, abruptly shattered by a deafening roar. It's June 24th, 2021, and the small, charming town near Miami is about to experience one of the deadliest building collapses in U.S. history. In less than 12 seconds, the Champlain Towers South condominium, a 12-story beachfront building, is reduced to rubble. What was once a symbol of luxury living has now become the epicenter of a tragedy that will claim 98 lives and leave the nation grappling with the question, how could this happen? To truly understand the magnitude of the Surfside disaster, one must first grasp the serene nature of the town before that fateful night. Surfside, known for its tranquil streets and close-knit community, was a place where residents felt safe, insulated from the chaos of nearby Miami. The town's charm lay in its balance between urban amenities and beachfront bliss, a place where modern luxury met the timeless allure of the ocean. The Champlain Towers South, completed in 1981, stood as a testament to this ideal, offering stunning views and high-end living. However, beneath the facade of opulence, the seeds of catastrophe were quietly sown. As residents went to bed on June 23, 2021, they had no inkling that their peaceful existence was about to be violently disrupted. The sudden collapse of the building not only obliterated 12 floors, but also shattered the lives and dreams of countless families, leaving a community and a nation in shock. The sequence of events that led to the collapse of Champlain Towers South was as swift as it was catastrophic. At precisely 1:22 a.m., what began as a seemingly minor structural failure rapidly escalated into a full-scale disaster. The initial cracking of concrete, which may have seemed insignificant to an untrained ear, was the harbinger of impending doom. This crack signaled the failure of the pool deck, a critical structural component that supported the building's central section. The pool deck had been compromised over decades due to water intrusion and corrosion, a slow and silent killer that would ultimately bring down the entire building. As the deck caved in, it pulled the central portion of the tower down with it in a horrifying chain reaction. The pancake collapse, a term used by engineers to describe how floors fall in succession onto one another, was as devastating as it was rapid. The sheer speed of the collapse left no time for those inside to react. In mere seconds, a place of comfort and safety turned into a graveyard, as 12 stories of concrete and steel crumpled into a massive heap of debris. The tragic event was punctuated by an eerie silence that followed the initial rumblings, which was broken only by the sudden, thunderous collapse. Decades of hidden deterioration due to poor maintenance practices, cost-cutting on waterproofing materials, and the aggressive saline environment characteristic of coastal Florida exacerbated the degradation. The failure began subtly over the years, but culminated in a catastrophic moment that highlighted the vulnerability of aging infrastructure faced with persistent natural elements. The pool deck, a gathering place for families and laughter, tragically became the epicenter of destruction, demonstrating the deadly potential of incremental neglect. The warning signs had been there for years, but the tragedy of Champlain Towers South was not just in the collapse itself, but in the long history of neglect that preceded it. The pool deck, which was at the heart of the structural failure, had been leaking water for decades. The infiltration of water into the concrete, combined with Florida's humid, salty air, accelerated the corrosion of the steel reinforcement bars within the structure. In 2018, an engineering report had pointed out the critical need for repairs, particularly focusing on the waterproofing issues that were causing significant damage to the building's concrete slabs. However, despite the dire warnings, action was delayed, partly due to the high cost of the necessary repairs, estimated at $15 million, and the lengthy process of securing the necessary funds and approvals. On the night of the collapse, a couple staying in a nearby hotel noticed water seeping into the parking garage, a sign that the building's structural integrity was critically compromised. This was the final visible manifestation of decades of deferred maintenance and overlooked warnings. When the building collapsed, first responders were faced with a scene that was more akin to a natural disaster than a building failure. The air was thick with dust, visibility was poor, and the cries for help from those trapped under the rubble were faint and haunting. Firefighters and rescue teams, accustomed to dealing with hurricanes and other natural calamities, now found themselves in a battle against time, working in an environment where every second counted, and where the precarious remains of the building threatened to collapse further at any moment. In the years leading up to the disaster, multiple complaints and memos had circulated among the building's management and residents, detailing issues such as cracks in the parking garage and standing water on the pool deck. These early warnings painted a grim picture of the impending disaster, but failed to catalyze the necessary preventive actions. The engineering report of 2018, conducted by Morabito Consultants, starkly emphasized the major structural damage and the need for immediate repair to prevent further degradation. Despite these clear warnings, the inertia of bureaucracy and financial constraints delayed critical maintenance work, setting the stage for disaster. The first responders, who were on the scene within minutes, navigated a landscape of chaos and uncertainty, their efforts hampered by continuous aftershocks from the unstable remnants of the building. As the hours turned into days, the grim reality of the situation became increasingly apparent. The initial hope that more survivors would be found gradually faded as the rescue operation transitioned into a recovery mission. By July 6th, nearly 2 weeks after the collapse, the focus had shifted from saving lives to recovering bodies, a heartbreaking task that underscored the scale of the tragedy. In total, 98 lives were lost, each one a testament to the fragility of human existence in the face of such overwhelming disaster. The Surfside disaster sparked a national debate about building safety and regulatory oversight, especially in coastal areas where the environmental conditions can accelerate the deterioration of building materials. In the immediate aftermath, investigations revealed a troubling pattern of neglected repairs and substandard construction practices that had been overlooked for years. The original construction of Champlain Towers South was scrutinized, revealing that the building's design may not have been followed precisely, with critical elements like the rebar placement and waterproofing being improperly executed. The corrosive effects of the ocean environment, compounded by the building's flawed construction and maintenance, created a perfect storm that led to the collapse. The legal and financial repercussions were significant. On June 23, 2022, almost a year after the disaster, A $1.02 billion settlement was reached between the victims' families, the condo association, and the various entities involved in the building's construction and maintenance. This settlement, while substantial, could never truly compensate for the loss of life and the devastation of the community. Moreover, the tragedy prompted legislative changes in Florida, with new laws requiring more frequent and rigorous inspections of older buildings, particularly those near the coast. These measures, though crucial for preventing future disasters, came too late for the residents of Champlain Towers South, whose lives were irrevocably altered or ended by the collapse. The collapse of Champlain Towers South was a disaster, years in the making, a deadly combination of human error, neglect, and environmental factors. As the nation mourned the loss of 98 lives, it also faced the harsh reality that this tragedy could have been prevented. The lessons learned from Surfside have since led to stronger building codes and inspection laws. But the scars left by that fateful night will forever remind us of the cost of complacency. If you found this account of the Surfside condominium disaster insightful, please consider liking the video and leaving a comment. Your support helps us continue sharing these important stories.